Thanks for joining us for this episode. And before we get started, I want to let you know that if you want to learn more about any guests that we feature on our episodes, you're going to want to check out the show notes to connect with them. And if you want to connect with me and learn more about what we do, head over to mustincrease.com. You'll find all the different ways that you can connect with us and the services that we offer for churches, businesses, and what we do for families and more. Of course, you are going to want to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Well, I'm very grateful that you've joined us for this episode. My name is Luke Clayton, and welcome to the Must Increase podcast. But I do have to give some, speaking of movies that totally missed the mark, I think you and I have talked about this off mic. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Ant-Man 3, it's horrible.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
It is, if it's not the worst movie Marvel's ever made, but it's in the bottom 5.
Really?
It's so, and because Ant-Man 1 and 2, it's it's Paul Rudd.
Oh, yeah.
He's hilarious.
Right.
So they really play to that in
Sure.
Ant-Man 1 and 2. They do a good job, because Ant-Man, the concept of Ant-Man's kind of dumb. So they do a good job of playing to that in the first two, and they make it they're kind of just heist movies. They're a heist movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of action comedy, you know?
Sure.
No, they just kind of, they have little elements of it in the third one, but they really abandoned that.
Really?
For the most part.
Just made it more serious?
Well, they just went so freaking sci-fi. The sci-fi, look, I've seen everything Star Wars many times, you know?
Don't hold that against them.
Yeah, look, I'm a sci-fi guy. Like, and Marvel is sci-fi. You can't deny nowadays, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like they're very sci-fi.
Yeah.
This is sci-fi to this level that I just couldn't get on board with. It's just so weird.
Okay, you and I have talked about 100 times that the kind of movies I love are, I'm okay with little sci-fi if there's a tiny chance that, okay, this could be actually real. I've told you 100 times before, like, I was super disappointed in, like, Interstellar. Okay? Yeah. Because I was like, okay, like, in the future, we can go to space, like, time, we don't know everything. But then the whole last 20 minutes, it was like, it was just kind of like, this is what you brought us to?
Yeah.
This random... I'm actually picturing that scene of the library and all, or it's not really a library.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
I know what you're talking
you
about.
blew it for me here.
Yeah.
So I love things that like, okay, the whole thing where people are like, hey, there could be other galaxies. Okay, I'll play along.
Yeah.
But it's like, even time travel, I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the stuff where it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like the reason I have never ever gotten, I personally, I can't stand Guardians of the Galaxy. There's no raccoon with a machine gun. There is no tree that says...
I am Groot, yeah.
Okay, so I have never gotten into that.
Yeah.
Reason that I probably still to this day... Well, actually, okay, I don't know if my favorite character would be Captain America or Tony Stark. Because Tony Stark, I've always loved him because he's a real person. Mm-hmm. Because, okay, I can see somebody making that suit. I can see that actually happening.
Yeah.
That's why I've always loved it. Okay, the whole science man, Captain America, okay, maybe, Hulk, okay. So I love elements of, okay, this could actually be real, but sometimes when you don't, it's like, I'm not in this.
Well,
anyway.
That's the thing about the Ant-Man is it goes so deep down this. Okay, so that's been Marvel's thing. Like Marvel is, they've just been introducing you to kind of new aspects, new worlds, with Iron Man it was like, oh, everything's pretty realistic. Like guy builds a suit, whatever, okay. But then we go to Thor and oh, this is a whole other planet.
Yeah.
And these are demigods and okay, new world here.
Right.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy expands that even more. And then we get into Loki, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That has been one of the good things Marvel's put out. And they introduced that multiverse concept, which they did a good job in Loki of introducing it. but like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness or whatever.
Yeah, never saw that, but I've heard
not
it.
worth
I've
seeing.
heard it. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
not worth seeing.
Okay.
So, so now with Ant-Man, they're trying to introduce you to kind of like another world of the subatomic. You know, like that's his thing. Like Ant-Man shrinks.
Yeah.
And so the technology they've developed to shrink now can shrink people down to the subatomic level. And that's the thing. It's like this world exists. It's like this tiny little world that exists subatomically. Like it's weird.
Okay.
That alone is weird and hard to wrap your mind around. But like they're like, well, because it's this weird subatomic world, there's all this weird crap going on, and it's just weird.
Okay,
man.
and
It's
I know we got to wrap this up, but I wonder. This is probably a whole other conversation. I wonder because I know they have all these comics to pull from and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if sometimes these writers get into a corner where it's like, well, we've already done that. We've already done that. What can we do now? And they just got to. I mean, obviously, all movies are making up stuff. I mean, obviously, there's true stories out there, but it's almost like, well, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What about a tiny world? Okay, Al, we'll go with that.
Well, that's
you wonder how deep they have to dig.
Yep.
To just continue to make things until they got to start things over again.
Well, that's clearly what's happening with Marvel now.
Okay.
Is they have exhausted all of the like.
Iconic.
And kind of like they are still, all of this stuff is supposedly like, this is all still being pulled from comics. Like the source material is comics. Like this is from the minds of the guys who wrote the comics and they're just putting their spin on it.
Right.
But we're getting to the point now where they've exhausted all the good stuff. So like now they're going so deep. Now if you're like a true hardcore comic fan, you're probably eating this up.
Yeah.
But for us common people who look, I enjoyed Marvel up to Endgame.
Yep.
And I thought, hey, they did a good job, like whatever, but I'm not a comic book guy. Never have been, never will be. And so for us, guys like us, you and me, that never were into that, like we're not relating anymore.
Right.
And that's been the problem with Marvel. And Ant-Man is a testament of that. Like and like I said, even the latest Doctor Strange movie, like it's like you're just going so deep into the source material here that, it's just weird. It's weird stuff, and so I mean, Ant-Man was not great. Did you ever see Avatar, The Way of Water, the latest
one? The second one?
Yeah, the second one. Okay, yeah. I mean,
I didn't have 4 days free to watch it.
It's Now that 3 hours and 10 minutes. 3 hours and 10 minutes. Way too long.
That's something else. Okay, if I have 3 hours to just watch something, probably wouldn't pick that because once again, to me, it's just complete fantasy. I never liked the first one. Now, once again, from a artist's perspective, like I can really appreciate James Cameron. I can appreciate the world that it's. I can get on board with all that, but I'm probably not gonna watch it. I mean, it's just a long time.
Well, my thing is here's the irony of it, and I know we have talked about a little bit of this, like I said, off the record, but here now it's on the record. I'm not crazy. Like I said, I don't mind sci-fi. The whole world of Pandora and Avatar, I'm just like, okay.
I just think the color blue.
Yeah.
Really all I think about.
So it's not that I like just love the characters, love the story. No, I could take that or leave that.
Yeah.
You cannot argue that it's visually spectacular.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the ironic thing.
If I could go see it in an IMAX or I'm not gonna watch it on my TV at home.
Yeah. Well, see,
I'm not gonna do that.
Because it is so long. Like that with John Wick 4. I'm like, okay, wait till it streams. Watch it on streaming, but don't go to the theater to watch it. Yeah. It's not visually spectacular enough to see in a theater. Right. Avatar, ironically, I'm like, oh, it's so long. And somehow I made it through the whole movie without having to go to the bathroom.
That's a miracle.
Yeah. But it's so long. But I did see it in IMAX. IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it did win the award, the Oscar for visual effects. And it deserves to win that award. Okay. Because it was visually beautiful and so realistic.
Okay. I think one of the best movies is 3D I've seen. I think I saw Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, the latest one?
Well, hold on. Was the one before that? What was the one with all the drones?
That would have been Far From Home.
Okay, Far From Home.
Yeah.
I think I saw that 3D, and that was actually pretty cool. It's been a long time since I've seen movies in good 3D, but I think that one was actually pretty great.
Yeah, IMAX 3D is usually pretty great. But like I said, Avatar is this whole other level of just amazing visuals.
Is that still playing in theaters?
I think you could, it's not an IMAX anymore. I think you
Yeah.
could still catch it in the theater here and there, and they will re-release it.
Sure.
So you can't deny visually it's amazing. And I will say this though, here's what is surprisingly okay. The whole premise of the Avatar movies is all about nature. Okay, so climate and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Okay, so there's that. But I was surprised how the center of the story is all about the family. It's all
You
about,
have told me this.
It is all about traditional family. You know,
have told me
the Sully, the main guy who's there was a human who's changed over to Avatar now.
Yep.
Or they're not called Avatar. That's what do they call the Nai? I don't.
Yeah.
I can't. There's too many names. But he's one of the blue people now. And so he marries the blue girl from the first one. Now they've got kids. They've got a family. This whole movie is about the value of keeping that family together and protecting the family and growing as a family.
That's cool.
And there is a part that is very emotional about like things that happen that are traumatic to the family.
Wow.
And so that I really did appreciate that because in today's culture, like the nuclear family is the bad thing.
Yeah.
But this is all about really that is the center of the story is all about that. So I did like that. And you alluded to this earlier, man. You cannot deny James Cameron. I've seen I've seen the Avatar movies. I've seen Titanic. Titanic's a good movie. They're good. But it's like this guy now has 3 of the top 4 highest grossing movies of all time. Mm-hmm. The 2 Avatars and Titanic.
Yeah.
Endgame's the only one in there. Avengers Endgame's the only one that he has not directed. That is impressive.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, the man clearly knows what he's doing, and he is brilliant.
I'll interject this real quick on James Cameron. I think it's on Hulu. I think it's on Hulu. Apparently, this is probably why Titanic was so good back in 2000 or whenever it came out. He's a most unbelievably detailed person. It's just incredible. Like even now here in 2021, I think he may even kind of started it back when the pandemic was going on. But there's kind of like this little mini series of him, like he was like recreating the Titanic thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's fascinated with like, what did I get wrong?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, it's like he's still doing all these models and all these things to like, what could I have done different? And well, maybe it would have been like this. And it's kind of like, first me, it's like, okay, does it really matter?
Yeah.
But like he's spending all this money of his like just to this mini project of like, I wonder what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I think that's the part of it was like someone was kind of commentating on it like, that's why it was so good because everything he just researches everything.
Yep.
Everything has to be the best. And kind of like, okay, it's quality over quantity. Well, okay, the guy's only made how many movies over the span of his 40-year career?
In the past 30 years, he's made 3 movies.
Right. But think okay, like I'm going to put 10 years of my life into this. This is what, so it's, I thought it was kind of fascinating.
So that's what's interesting about the second Avatar is it's almost like, again, yes, he has made 3 movies. Like Titanic came out in 97.
Probably, yeah.
97. So it's been the span of like, a little less than 30 years, right? So 25 years. Yeah. In 25 years, he's only made 3 feature films. Mm-hmm. All of them, again, have done are in the top 3.
You could watch Titanic and except for maybe a couple shots that are like, fake. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was shot last year. I mean, it's fantastic.
So that is another thing I appreciate about the second Avatar is it's like he took his 2 hits and he said, if I could go back and make those better, here's what I would do. Yeah. Because it's called the Way of Water. It's all happening in water. And so there's this scene at the end. Oh,
that's right. I did
this
know
isn't
that.
much of a spoiler. There's this scene at the end, I guess it's in the trailer, where like the final battle happens on a sinking ship.
Okay.
So it's almost, and there's a lot of the same stuff from Titanic, the way this ship sinks. And so it's like he said, okay, I'm going to take my best work and I'm going to improve it. And so I can appreciate his dedication to
you know what's
the
funny?
craft.
I actually just forgot that Avatar is underwater. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that's some incredible stuff too when you look at technically how they accomplished that.
With lighting. Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, they had to develop all new technology to motion capture underwater.
That's right. you did tell me
so,
this.
yeah. So Avatar.
I kind of want to watch it now. Kind of,
Dude,
sort of.
I will tell you, if for some reason they re-release it in IMAX, you do need to go
probably
check
should.
it out. I don't know if I could do it again, but it was visually,
Yeah.
you just do respect. Well, good job, James.
Sure.
Even though I think it's kind of, I think the overall premise is stupid. It does check a lot of boxes in the other areas. So yeah, Avatar was good. I would tell you this. Well, I know we've been talking about this for a hot minute now, but did you hear about Jesus Revolution at all?
I've heard about it. I've not seen it. I've watched the trailer. I've heard it's done really well. I've heard it's very well done, which is fantastic to hear. I love when things are actually well done.
Yes, yeah. Well, that is a whole other thing. Is right now we kind of are living in this age where the faith-based stuff is doing really well.
It's catching up.
You've got Jesus Revolution. You've got The Chosen.
Yep.
This other movie that's just come out called His Only Son. I've not seen this yet, but I've heard it's good. So it's the story of Abraham and Isaac. But Jesus Revolution. It's the same guys who made I Can Only Imagine, the Irwin brothers.
Yes. Yep.
Made I Can Only Imagine, and the football movie, American Underdog.
Yep.
So one of the brothers involved. Anyways, very good.
Okay.
Very good, well-made, powerful story. And it's about the hippie movement,
Yep.
the Jesus hippie movement or whatever, which, people have mixed feelings about that,
I'm
whatever.
sure they do.
And so honestly, I'm watching it and I really am enjoying it, but there is this little cynic in the back of my head that's like, okay, how much of this is real and authentic?
Yeah.
Get this, man. I know this is anecdotal, but I after the movie's over, I go to the bathroom. There's a guy in there, an older guy, and we're washing our hands, and he goes, man, I remember all that. And I said, well, hold up. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. He's like, I was a part of that. I was there. I was there. Like they met in this tent, and this whole movement, the big thing happened. He's like, I remember being there. I remember that guy and that guy. He's like, my wife got saved.
No
through
way.
that. And I said, okay. I said, so how accurate was that? He said, oh, very accurate. Very accurate. I mean, the only comment he made is the guy who played Kelsey Grammer's in it.
Yeah.
The Frasier guy.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I mean, I forget the guy, name of the guy he actually plays. Mark something. Anyways, he's like, well, Mark isn't as good looking as Kelsey Grammer, but he was like, it's kind of a joke there. But he's like, no, it's accurate. That's
really cool,
And
man.
so just to have that little testimony there afterwards, like kind of just like made it that much cooler for me.
That is cool. I should probably watch that.
It is.
That's on Prime. I've seen it on Prime.
Oh, is it? I was going to say
yeah.
it's. I'm not in a theater anymore at this point, but it was a really good movie. It was really powerful, and just it is the story of how the gospel can just transform people. I mean, really, that is what it's about. So I really like that, and like I said, The Chosen has been really good. They just finished the 3rd season here, and.
Yep.
I could talk about that for a a while too.
We probably should next.
Yeah. Are you caught up on it? Like, are you?
I'm not caught up.
Get caught up. See, our buddy Jeremy Lenentine, he's the one who got me into it.
Oh yeah.
And so he kept telling me, you gotta watch it. So I did. I finally sat down and watched the 1st season.
Yeah.
So then I got him on an episode here years ago, and we recapped the 1st season.
Yeah, I remember
Well,
this.
now I don't know. I need to ask him, but he's the one who's fallen behind, and I'm like, well, man, we can do another recap if you'd get caught up. So the first person who can just get caught up on it, I'd love to sit down and talk about it.
Catch up on that too.
But yeah, man. So I mean, I guess that kind of brings us up to speed on what we've seen in terms of the past as far as movies, shows. Here's the thing. I mean, not every movie's going to be a Top Gun.
Of course,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway for me as we talk through all this is what we're just saying. Like, it is nice to see. Not just faith-based content, because here's what's doing well in general, is movies that are just focused on telling stories, not pushing agendas. Now, on the conservative side, Christian side, you could argue that Jesus Revolution is pushing an agenda. Not really. It's telling a story of something that happened. Now, in the process, yes, you're going to be moved, and you might realize the power of the gospel, but it's not a. It's not. It's just telling you a story. This is what happened, and that's again going. Even talk about Avatar. Like, they're really not pushing an agenda. Like, there's a little bit of the nature stuff, but they're just telling a story. And I go back to, I guess it would have been back in December of 2021 when Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man came out.
Yeah.
They're just telling a story.
Yep.
You know, there's no like agenda one way or the other. And
Sure.
that's what, I just really wish that's what, you know, because Disney right now in particular is really struggling with that.
I don't know why, last comment I'll make, I don't know why they haven't figured that out yet, because the movies that just do the best are just a standalone good story. And that's like the most basic thing of film. It's like,
That's the thing.
you don't need to make all these comments and all these, you know, woke. It's like, don't do that.
It seems like every movie or show or whatever that gets put out that is explicitly pushing some type of agenda. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't, like what was it, Lightyear with Pixar? Okay. This big thing about having this same-sex kiss. Okay, and look, I did watch it when it came out on Disney Plus. Yeah. It was short, granted.
I'm sure.
But here's the thing: like that movie flopped. Now it was generally just not good. Like it was very disappointing.
Yeah.
But that movie flopped. It flopped hard.
I hear it. Yeah.
And a lot of that is because parents said, "No, I don't want my kids to see that."
Yep.
And then there you can think of other examples where this has happened. But I don't know. To me, I'm like, how? But yet Disney still continues to try to incorporate this. You know, there's already this rumor that there is going to be a Frozen 3. They've confirmed that. So there's all this rumor that they're going to make Elsa a lesbian and whatever. If that happens, like, sorry, Frozen, like we're not going to see that.
It'll flop.
Yeah,
it'll absolutely flop.
And I just think, I'm like, how, regardless of how you think, regardless of where you stand on this stuff, like, how dedicated do you have to be to a certain ideology to sacrifice your audience?
Yeah.
I could even apply that to because that has been the problem with kind of faith-based stuff up to this point is it was almost like, I never really even saw them, but like the God's Not Dead movies. I don't know if you remember those. They were
very cheesy.
Yes, and like
very
even
cheesy.
and like I appreciate what the Kendrick brothers did, and they kind of blazed in trouble, like some of their early stuff in particular.
Yeah.
And it's like, but see, that was the problem. It was like, the faith-based filmmakers and creators were so focused on pushing their message, pushing their ideology, which again is an ideology I happen to line up with.
Yeah.
That they did sacrifice quality of story.
Right.
And so
I think that when they even made the second one, it was the same story.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Dude, I don't know why this is so funny. Okay, there's the first one, obviously, which I have seen. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, God's Not Dead 2 or whatever, it's the same story. And of course, they use that song, God's Not...
Yeah, the Newsboy song,
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is just the same movie. Maybe the quality's a little bit better, but it's the exact same movie. And it's I don't know, I kind of got a kick out of that.
But that's the thing is, and now we're seeing, like I said, we see it on the other side, the left, if you will. It's like Disney, they're just like, how committed do you have to be to this ideology, to pushing this agenda to where you're willing to sacrifice your audience? Because that's what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing.
I mean, Disney is struggling right now.
I've heard they're not doing very good.
They're making job cuts. They're cutting, programming and things like that.
Oh, and I've heard even Disney World and Disneyland, like they're actually attendance is down.
Yeah.
Like things aren't actually going very well.
And you can't blame COVID anymore. That's gone. That's done with. So.
Of course, they're blaming. This is a whole other thing. They're blaming DeSantis down there. Yeah, it's like, dude, this is your fault.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but I don't know. Like I said, it's just I really wish on the right and the left, and no matter what you believe, like, look, let's just tell some stories, and let's
lots of good stories out there.
Yeah, a lot of good stories to tell, and anyway, so. We love talking movies. We love talking this, and it's been a while since we did it. So I did enjoy that. But thanks for being back on the podcast.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
And to thank you for watching, listening, and if you have thoughts, I always like to put that out there. Like, hey, reach out, like throw a comment on YouTube or something. Send me an email, and let me know what you think. Or don't. That's fine too. All right, thanks, Bo.
Yep.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode. And do take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you may listen to podcasts. You can connect with us online and learn about all that we do for churches, businesses, families, and more at mustincrease.com. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we look forward to seeing you next time as we continue to increase truth and inspire hope in the lives of others right here on the Must Increase podcast.